All right, let's jump right into this. When you think of the 1966 World Cup, you're probably picturing grainy color footage, right? You hear Kenneth Wolstenholme's absolutely legendary commentary in your head, and you just feel this heavy dose of pure nostalgia. But in this explainer, we're going to look past that cultural mythos. We are going to examine the concrete, tactical, and managerial reasons why England actually lifted the Jules Rimet Trophy on home soil. Because let me tell you, this wasn't just magic, it was a highly calculated masterclass. Section 1. Setting the 1966 stage, a stolen trophy, and a smiling lion. Okay, so before we even step onto the pitch, we have to talk about the truly bizarre world off of it. The build-up to this tournament in England was chaotic, unprecedented, and honestly, kind of absurd. In March of 1966, the actual World Cup trophy was sitting on public display at a rare stamp exhibition in Westminster, and thieves broke in, completely ignored £3 million worth of rare stamps, and snatched the silver Guild Cup instead. Exactly 7 days later, the cup was discovered wrapped in newspaper under a parked car by a 4-year-old dog named Pickles. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. Add to that the introduction of World Cup Willie the previous summer, literally the very first dedicated character mascot in World Cup history, and you've got a tournament bursting with character before a single ball was even kicked. Now, think about the official 1966 insignia. It had this bold Union Jack background. The Football Association used this imagery alongside World Cup Willie's Union Jack jersey to consciously steep the entire tournament in British iconography. They really wanted to project a modern, welcoming image while maximizing that crucial home turf energy. It was a brilliant piece of branding that just unified the home support right out of the gate. But here is the hard truth we really have to face. Nostalgia doesn't win tournaments. Tactics do. Because all the lovable mascots and heroic dogs in the world couldn't coordinate a defense or score a goal. For that, England needed a mastermind pulling the strings from the dugout. Section 2. Ramsey, the unlikely mastermind and the architect of 1966. Enter Sir Alf Ramsey. After winning league titles as both a player and a manager with some incredibly innovative tactical systems, he took the England job. And get this, he brazenly and correctly, I might add, predicted in 1963 that England would win the upcoming World Cup. Ramsey once plainly stated, "I should be difficult to get to know." And that totally illustrates the man he was. He was an enigma, a stoic lone wolf who hated the spotlight but absolutely loved his squad. He completely changed the national team structure by becoming English football's inaugural dictator, which basically means he stripped away the old selection committees and took absolute, unquestioned control over picking his team. So, how did he operate? Well, he had a few core principles. First, he fiercely shielded his players. When FIFA demanded that midfielder Nobby Stiles be suspended for a harsh tackle against Mexico in the group stages, Ramsey literally threatened to resign on the spot to protect him. And guess what? Stiles stayed. Second, he made ruthless tactical calls. When his star striker, Jimmy Greaves, recovered from an injury just in time for the final, the press was clamoring for his return. Instead, Ramsey coldly benched him, placing all his faith in Geoff Hurst. It was a massive, massive gamble. Section 3, Tactics, the Wingless Wonders, and Revolutionizing the Formation. So why did Ramsey make such bold choices? It all came down to his grand design for the pitch. At the time, the global footballing fashion was this very expansive 4-2-4 formation. But Ramsey deployed a highly unorthodox 4-1-3-2. By removing traditional wide wingers entirely, he flooded the center of the pitch with a compact quartet of hardworking midfielders. This gave England a huge numerical advantage right in the middle of the park. And you know what? The results were immediate and honestly pretty staggering. Look at England's group stage record. In Group 1, they advanced with 2 wins and a draw. But I really want you to focus on the goals against column. 0. They conceded absolutely 0 goals in the entire opening round. This Wingless Wonders setup provided a suffocating defensive solidity that just frustrated every single opponent they faced. Section 4. The final tactical battle. England vs. West Germany. Picture this. Under the twin towers of Wembley Stadium, in front of nearly 97,000 feverish fans, we get an incredible game of tactical chess. Ramsey's 4-1-3-2 clashed with a West German side that had actually adapted its own 4-2-4 to try and counter the English machine. Germany altered their shape to match England's midfield trio. Schnellinger pushed in to mark Alan Ball. The brilliant young Franz Beckenbauer dropped back to shadow Bobby Charlton, and Overath tracked Peters. To counter this, England's Nobby Stiles operated situationally, dropping back to sweep up long balls. This was crucial because it liberated Captain Bobby Moore to step up, carry the ball forward, and act as a playmaker from deep. The guy even registered 2 assists in this match. Having that sheer volume of English players in the center was just exhausting for opponents. Bobby Charlton had summarized it perfectly in a warm-up game against Spain, pointing out that opposing fullbacks were left with literally nobody to mark on the wings, while England attacked in droves through the middle. That exact same intensity played out against Germany. Both teams pushed each other to the absolute limit, resulting in a dramatic 2-2 draw at the end of 90 minutes after a late German equalizer. Section 5, a controversial turning point, the 101st minute. And that, of course, forces us into extra time. We're now at what is, without a doubt, the most discussed, hyper-analyzed moment in football history. I gotta pose the question to you. Did the ball actually cross the line? Geoff Hurst unleashed this rising drive that smashed off the underside of the crossbar and bounced straight down onto the goal line before being frantically cleared. In real time, the whole stadium held its breath. It was entirely unclear if the whole ball had crossed the line. So, the Swiss referee, Gottfried Dienst, ran over to consult his assistant, Soviet linesman Tofik Baharamov. Dienst later recalled, "I asked him in English, 'Is it goal?' And he replied, 'Yes, the ball is behind the line.'" Dienst awarded the goal. Naturally, the West Germans protested furiously. Now, as an explainer, we aren't here to take sides on whether it was definitively in or out, because decades of video analysis are still famously inconclusive. But we do want to highlight that this split-second, incredibly high-pressure human decision irreversibly changed the trajectory of the sport forever. Section 6. The legacy of 1966. Football comes home. Up 3-2, England is suddenly within touching distance of immortality, and the tactical choices made by Alf Ramsey were about to bear ultimate fruit. The magic number here is 3. In the dying seconds, as fans were literally spilling onto the pitch, Geoff Hurst surged forward and hammered home one final shot. He scored 3 goals that day, becoming the very first player ever to net a World Cup final hat trick. It was the ultimate, undeniable vindication of Alf Ramsey's controversial choice to start him in the first place. And how do you think the mastermind reacted as the final whistle blew and his players were jumping for joy? Well, true to form, the stoic Sir Alf Ramsey remained perfectly seated. As his staff celebrated wildly all around him, he was reportedly heard muttering, "I wish you buggers could control yourselves." Talk about a consummate professional to the very end. So, what does this all mean? What should we really take away from this? The 1966 win wasn't simply destiny, and it wasn't just a nostalgic fairy tale. It was a perfect storm. It was built on the back of Alf Ramsey's tactical genius, a brilliant Wingless Wonders system that choked the midfield, an overwhelming home field advantage, and, yes, for sure, a tiny bit of luck in the 101st minute. I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. Knowing what we know now about that wild 101st minute, would modern video assistant referee technology have changed the course of England's greatest footballing triumph? It really forces us to realize just how incredibly fine the margins of World Cup glory truly are. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the fascinating reality behind the history.